Mitul, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Nice to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess I'm going to kick it off in a way quite a lot of people are expecting now, probably. But I guess at what point did you know you were going to be a major business leader, and where were you at in life when that?
Well, that's quite the intro there, and I'm not sure I'll put those three words, major business and leader, together. But I guess that wasn't, for me it was finding a job, right? You sort of you go through the life of university, you want to get that first job, and you want to do the best you can for yourself, and see where it leads.
Yeah.
And then I think I kind of fell into management. I sort of decided that I like working with people.
Yeah.
I like learning from people. I like teams. Don't get into retail if you don't want to work with people.
Yeah.
And because it's part of the job, right? It's so. And I like, I thought, I quite like this. I like working with diverse teams. I like working with different passions, different strengths, and I just thought, okay, this seems to kind of make me happy. So let's see where it goes.
And what was entry point like? What was the first job title that you had?
Well, if I go with my last sort of employer, where I spent my 23 years of my last sort of job was all at one employer. I was a graduate trainee. I'd actually been here in Manchester studying. I did a marketing degree, and I'd always worked in retail, since the age of 16. My first job was Burton Menswear, which
right.
Some of the older people watching this will know.
Yeah.
Part of the Burton Group, became part of the Arcadia Group, and then I transferred here as a student.
Yes.
In a long time ago, and the Trafford Centre had just opened, so I got transferred to principals there, which was part of the Burton Group, and they said, we need help, we need experienced staff, can you come and do some shifts for us? And
Yes.
So again, it was retail, it was people, it was merchandising, it was stock control, it was learning all those basics. A clean stock room, an organised stock room will help front of house, will help sales, will help all of those things. So all of those things just stuck with me. So when I was finishing my degree, I was applying to various, employers and companies, and I got onto the graduate training scheme at Harrods, and I joined them in 2002 or 2003, I think. Yeah. And I spent my first year in various placements. You did 2-month placements in different areas. So you learn some back of house things, you learn some front of house things. And then at the end of the scheme, the idea is you kind of step into your first level of management. So an assistant manager is your first sort of title and your first foray into management. So I
What was the hourly rate back then?
About £2.10 now. No, it was hourly rate was God knows.
No.
God knows, it wasn't. But back then the first salary was a good thing. It was like, I've got my first job,
Felt more
professional
official.
Company. I'm in a company with prospects and opportunity. Because when you're graduating, you want that first job, and then everyone's like, I'll do a couple of years or 5 years because I need my first CV, first bit of my CV, not to have like 10 different jobs by the time I'm 25, right? So, but I got into it, and I'd worked there as a summer temp before in the bridal registry department. And I'd never been to this amazing department store and seen how shiny it was and all of those things. And I realized that, people with money who were spending a lot of money on people's gifts, gift lists, and they were choosing. I was like, wow, where am I? And but you kind of just fell in love with it because it was infectious in
Yeah.
a way, you know. And I'd sort of applied to get on this scheme. I had a 2-day assessment, and I got on the scheme, and I thought, let's see how it goes.
And I guess when you first joined Harrods, did you notice like a big contrast? Because, you know, and this wouldn't be to knock a Burton's, but different, you know, right? It's like high street, and you've got Harrods luxury.
Yeah.
You know, did you feel there was a massive difference
Massive.
to it?
Yeah, I was afraid to touch anything because I was, you know, I'd come from, you know, a world of
Throwing things around in the stockroom.
Yeah, you know, just, you know, Burton's had its place. What it taught me was the basics of service and merchandising and all of those things that are actually constant wherever you go.
Yeah.
Because good service shouldn't be about money or in that sense, you know, every customer is important. So they taught me the basics. So yeah, when I went to somewhere like Harrods, I didn't know. I was a rabbit in the headlights because I didn't come from that world of money in that sense, or even taste to a degree, because I didn't know about brands. I didn't know about a lot of the things that I know about now. Because I'd never worn them, or I'd never bought them, or I'd never had my dinner on a plate that was fine bone, you know. So you just kind of learn very quickly this is a different retail environment to the previous environment, and you just learn to adapt and adjust and work to a different set of rules in a way.
Yeah.
So that was quite a learning curve.
Yeah.
But a good one.
And I guess, how many people, when you say you stepped into assistant management, how many people would you be responsible for, and like what were they doing?
So I kind of made the decision. I'd always worked front of house, so shop floor, but a job came up in the distribution world as assistant manager in dispatch, which was our sort of store delivery service. And I kind of thought, let me go and try that world, because if I spend a few years learning about behind the scenes and building my network in the distribution world, that's going to help me, because I always thought I'd go back to front of house. I always thought I'd end up being some sort of shop floor manager, because in my head, that's all I knew.
Yeah.
So I thought, right, go and learn about distribution and make some really good contacts, because you're going to need those in the future when you go back to the shop floor. And then I joined dispatch. I managed a team of about, so I had a manager I was reporting to, but it was a team of like 5 or 6 people. It was very small.
Yeah.
And it was the administration function, not the operational side of it.
Yeah.
So I guess there was a bit of a divide there.
Yeah.
But that was my first
taste of
management and dealing with, you know, everybody that was far more experienced than me. You know, like, there was this kid, you know, what does he know? And I was like, look, I know nothing, right? I'm going to learn from you.
Yeah.
And that was a really good lesson in sort of, don't go in thinking you know it all, because you've now got this title of, you know, manager or whatever. And it was really important to me to be grounded. Yeah. And not get carried away with you know, my new status, and which was temporary, because, you know, as opportunities came up, I then applied to be a manager. So I became a manager of this team, which then grew to like 10 people. And then my boss was leaving, who was an area manager, so I then got to run the whole operation. So I think 4 years after I started, I became an area manager, which was a big thing. You know, it was your first step into senior management.
Got you.
And it was a case of, right, I've got a real chance here to drive this operation forward. Yeah. That was quite exciting.
For a very serious business.
Really serious. But I saw the opportunity. I saw, you know, how passionate everyone was. Yeah. But I saw the problems.
And how old were you from going into Harrods to becoming the area manager? How long did that take?
So I think I was 25 at the time I became an area manager.
Oh, right. Well.
25-ish. quite young.
Yeah, it's quite young.
Very sort of
Team of 10.
Junior in my experience of the world, if I'm honest. But these opportunities don't come up very often, so you have to kind of go for it. And I didn't want to look and regret
not
that,
taking.
Oh man, someone else is doing this job now, and I'm reporting into this person, and I should have gone for it. And I guess my view was, be ambitious.
Yeah.
Apply. Let them know that you want to progress. You might not be successful. That's fine. But don't look in the rearview mirror.
Yeah.
Because how long before that opportunity comes up again? So I just went for it, and luckily I got the job.
And what do you think it was that got you the job over other applicants, or was there anything you did in particular? Or
I don't know. Try not to be harsh on myself and say there were no other applicants, or they had no other option. I think I'd proved up to that point that I was capable.
Yeah.
That I wanted that opportunity to progress, and I could do the bigger job.
Yeah.
And I felt very lucky that there was that trust that they said, okay, we got somebody here that cares.
Yeah.
So if you've got that, I think that's quite important. And he might not know everything, but there was a support network. There were people to help. So I think it was a combination of factors, but ultimately I really wanted the job. I really wanted to drive it forward.
And what kind of things are you doing then, going from being in dispatch to being an area manager? Like what's the day to day in that world look like?
You kind of go from just running that small team in the admin function to running the operational side. So suddenly I had 2 reports, managers reporting to me, which I didn't have before. You then started to look at the strategic side of things, supply management, we've got the right carriers, what's our service levels. You have a bit more responsibility on costs and P&L, budgeting, and you're scrutinized a little bit more, right, as you move up the ladder. So, I had a lot more of that responsibility that I didn't have before. And getting to do a little bit of shaping, strategy, vision, starting to think about, next year as opposed to next week. So I wasn't doing rota planning anymore. That was other people. But I was looking at, where are we going? What's the direction of travel? What's the business strategy? Where do we fit into that? So at a kind of smaller level, but it was starting to think about the global side of things. And suddenly it wasn't just me in this department. As a senior, I was now having to do stakeholder stuff. So things I hadn't done before.
And were you still quite close to the operation? Okay.
I mean, I had a rubbish little office in the back of the dispatch area, so I was in and out all day long, and people would still knock on my door. Can you help us with this? Or, I just want to have a chat. So that was nice. I didn't want to be aloof. I didn't want to be, in my ivory tower.
Just kept away.
So, and I felt intrinsically what I was trying to do and achieve, I had to be close to the shop floor. I had to bring them on the journey. And also I didn't want to become too distant that I didn't know what was going on. So I might think, oh, hey, I've got a really great idea here. And then the team go, but we don't have that problem to solve. Why are you trying to fix it? And it was like, good point. What are we trying to solve? So that was a really important time in my career that I stayed grounded and didn't run off too far ahead.
Do you remember the first almost success decision or strategy that you pushed that you could actually say, I did that, and that's 100% on me?
I mean, there were lots of small things we did with the team. There was like local stuff, silly things in a way. I look back when the manager said, if there's one thing you can do for me is get me a new fax machine. Everyone's probably watching this going, what the hell? But we had fax machines. And I was like, huh? He goes, I've been trying to get this thing repaired for weeks and everyone's ignoring me. So kind of within a day or two, I'd got him a new fax machine. And then I realized what else is broken,
Yeah.
And there were all these little things that came out. So there were things that I could impact at a local level.
Yeah.
The big thing as area manager I really achieved was the first step into that strategic pillar was, I brought a carrier management system in. We were very manual. Everything was type into various applications. We had no tracking, no PODs. We were basically reactive. So if a customer phoned up and said, I haven't got my parcel, that's the first we knew about it.
Yeah. Wow.
Right. So I had to go, right, we need to become proactive.
Yeah.
Right. So we started researching carrier management systems. We brought people in to pitch, essentially.
Yeah.
Spend some time with them. They gave us all these cost benefit analysis, and we can save you this and do that, and all of that went to tender, and then we settled on a system that almost 20 years later is still in place, and that feels like a massive achievement. Which I was like the IT department weren't able to support, so we found a third-party solution. So there's a sense of pride that for something to last that long, it won't be there forever, I'm sure, but for me it felt like a really big achievement that I was able to bring in this software as a foundation to start building from.
I was going to ask, is it a software? So is it a tech company that were doing the tenders, or is it carriers that would try and get you to use, like almost their technology?
No, as we went to a pure third-party carrier management system. There's lots of them now. Yeah. There weren't many back then. There were 2 or 3 big names.
And are we talking like a MetaPack? Is it that kind of?
An equivalent. I think MetaPack's a bigger player, I think. Now there's a company called Intersoft, who is now part of Royal Mail. Yeah. And they had a carrier management solution called Intelligent Shipper. So got you. We brought iShipper in, which not many people knew about. I think we were their biggest customer for a long time. And then Royal Mail bought them, and they, I think, have much bigger customers. But as a name, as a brand, I think it was the biggest. But for us, it was a big investment because the delivery service was quite small. Right. But it had potential. It had this huge opportunity to grow. Yeah. My fear was we would grow and scale without having the foundation. So I was very clear that, for us to become world class, we had to put something in. Yeah. So I managed to convince and had great support from the leadership that we needed something. And that was the first big step, and there was fear amongst the team because the minute you're going to bring technology in, there's job cuts and all of those things. But none of that materialized, and we laughed and joked about it for many, many years. I said, you remember you guys always said to me that you'd be out of a job, and actually we've doubled and tripled the size of the team because we have this great foundation. So, but I learned that people were always wary. If you invest, there's payback requirements. And what does that mean? Technology often means, or people interpret it, in the wrong way, that there's going to be job cuts. Yeah. And I wasn't even thinking about job cuts. I was thinking about fixing all the things that were broken. And I thought, if we improve the service and the speed and reduce the cost, then more people will use us. So we'll grow.
And at that time, was it a case of that the multiple carrier solution was for people that would come in, shop in Harrods, and then rather than take it home with them if it was a big item, they get it delivered to home? Was that the solution?
Yeah, exactly.
So at what point did it turn to Ecom and delivery for the Ecom side of Harrods?
It was kind of always there, but on a very small scale. but there was a traditional bricks and mortar retailer.
Yeah.
Real emphasis on, we're one store. Everybody comes here from all around the world, all around the country. It's one of London's like top visited spots.
Yeah.
I don't want to call it an attraction because it's not like going to Madame Tussauds. It's a shop, but it just happens to be very famous and globally known. So I would say that the Ecom journey was not the priority for a while, but then it became a kind of necessity. We had to play in that space, and then the Ecom journey sort of started to take on, and we started picking from the shop floor, and we still pick from the shop floor when I left last year, but on a much smaller scale. But there was a time when a lot of products came off the shop floor.
Right.
But as that Ecom grew, the DC took over, and I think 80-90% of products are now out of a DC, which is a great achievement. In terms of speed to customer, the integrity of it all, because we needed to move with the times. So that was a massive journey, and a lot of investment, some hard days. But it makes you stronger, right? In a way. So it was a lot of fun. I look back and I think it was a lot of fun. At the time, there were some days where it was not a lot of fun.
I was going to say, you probably, given the role you were in, probably, rewind and dined a little bit. Would you say, if you were into more the carrier management side of things and building relationships?
So then I sort of got a bigger role as head of delivery operations after area manager for a few years. And that was when I was responsible for Ecom, hamper fulfillment. We had furniture delivery within London and the home counties, and international shipping of furniture, and the store delivery. So I had all of the single point of contact for delivery. That was a big challenging role. A lot of fun, a lot of hard work. But then the supplier management, relationship building all kind of became part of that role and a key part. And then that was like another level up from area manager. So my view was I had to focus on our suppliers, our network. I got to travel, which I pushed for. Went to the Middle East a few times. Found some really good suppliers in the furniture moving space. Because that was direction of travel for the company. The business was expanding internationally.
Go global.
So global delivery sort of became a bigger thing. We were doing 20% exports, back then, and sort of when I left, it was nearly 50% of our store delivery was international.
Right.
And value-wise, it was higher than 50%. So you can see that the emphasis on international became bigger and bigger.
There was a shift,
those clients weren't necessarily traveling as much, but wanted it shipped out to them, and were willing to pay for it as well. So we had to really kind of focus on international shipping. And I had to make sure we had the right partners to achieve that and keep those service levels that they had, they expected. That was tough, but we managed it. We did it. We had some really good partners, and then we built some really good partners in country. Found some really good partners in the Middle East that we could work with, and the Far East. We found some partners that through contacts we built those relationships. So for me, it became this like, okay, we can almost do anything, right? Let's see what they throw at us next. And my team's job was to execute that to that level.
Was there any times going global it went wrong? Like if where you perhaps got an in-country partner wrong, and what did that look like when it did? Didn't quite happen for a particular destination.
No, I think not necessarily in-country partner, because those in-country partners were very specific around big furniture projects. We were very meticulous about who we worked with, why. We built personal relationships with the owners, the MDs, and I would have them on, WhatsApp, speed dial. But what was great was they always said, you've involved us from the start, so we feel part of it. You're not just telling us, you're collaborating with us. So that, I think, went a long way. I think when you were shipping some of the volumes we were shipping, certain things did go wrong every now and then. But when you had a major partner like a DHL behind you, it was the speed of rectifying those things that made the difference. Because, things sometimes go wrong. You know, you're shipping cross-border, you're dealing with planes and depots and, time zones, and sometimes things go wrong. But our view was, if we fix this quickly, the customer will forgive us. As long as we contact them, we tell them there's a problem and here's what we're doing to fix it, they're going to hopefully be, reasonable with you. Now you do get the odd problem, right? It's a wedding dress. It's something special, right? We had an engagement ring go wrong. Out of our control, weather, big snowstorm in Europe somewhere. We couldn't land at one airport, so we, the courier had to land at another airport, which was 5 hours away from where it needed to be. And we had to organise a direct drive, on Christmas Eve from A to B in a snowstorm.
And was delivery date meant to be Christmas Eve?
Yeah, because...
the chap was probably looking to propose Christmas Day.
Exactly. So you had the brand calling us going, you do realise they've spent 3 months, choosing the diamond, the ring, all of this stuff. And I was like, you're making me feel really good about this. But, there was a point when we were like, almost like, have you looked out the window? There's a storm outside. I'm not making this up. But we always had to demonstrate we were going to do everything possible to make it happen. And I think if you can do that and be honest with customers, and most people are reasonable, right? That, there is a storm or there's a flood or there's a war going on somewhere and we can't actually get there, then I think most people are reasonable. Sometimes you'll get somebody that's like, I don't care, get it here. But quite rare that happens. So it was always about, how do you solve it? How do you rectify the problem? Even if it's not your own doing. If it is your own doing, you've got to work even harder to fix it. Because there were times people sent it to the wrong address or didn't pack 3 items when they should have packed, 5 and all of that stuff. And the client rings up and says, I'm missing the shoes that goes on my dress. And you're like, where the hell are the shoes? And you find them on someone's bench somewhere. And the packer's like, oh, I ticked it, but I didn't pack it.
Got you.
And then you realise this customer lives in, Manchester. And you have to organise a courier. But you have to deal with these things. That's part of life. And thankfully, they didn't happen that regularly. So, but I think when you're in that space of international, shipping, we had the Suez Canal crisis, and ships had to go around the Cape of Good Hope. That added 2 or 3 weeks to, shipping times. You had to plan for that. And you had to tell customers it's going to take an extra 2 or 3 weeks. But as long as you explained why, and most people are up to date with current affairs, right? The challenge became when the cost went up tenfold. You couldn't pass it on to the customer. Right. So you had to swallow it. You had to swallow that.
And you talk about the, choosing of the right delivery partners and in-country partners and stuff. Were you in charge of the procurement process? Were you the person that would pull the trigger on, say, using a DHL, for example? Okay.
Yeah, I had support from, the procurement function to make sure that the small print was
Yeah.
what it needed to be. But most of the time, I was responsible for the negotiation,
Yeah.
for the kind of SLA setting,
Mm-hmm.
and also some of the softer stuff, because it wasn't always about price. It was, what else can you do for us outside of the numbers? So it could be later pickups, weekend pickups, it could be more regular pickups.
Yeah.
All of that helped because we were operating from quite a small space.
Yeah.
So I needed to turn the space around.
Have a quick cadence.
Yeah. Just like, can you do 3 pickups a day?
Yeah.
So that became part of the kind of negotiation, that it's not all about price.
Yeah.
Of course, we want to try and save some money. But actually, if they are offering other stuff like pickups, that's costing them money.
Yeah.
So you had to be reasonable, I felt, with suppliers. That, my attitude wasn't, don't just beat everybody down too much. That actually, if I ring up at 6 o'clock on a Friday, and they go, nah, not picking that up, that's a problem. Yeah. So I always felt that treat everybody, your own customers, just try and treat everybody with a bit of respect and be fair, and especially like your DPDs, your DHLs, who 90% of our traffic was going through those guys.
Yeah.
So it was expected that we were going to ring them more often than very small suppliers that did 1 shipment a week for us. So it was important that you had good relations with them, and they didn't go, wow, we make no money out of this account, so I'm not helping you. Outside of standard office hours.
It's interesting. I feel like, we're not going to get anyone shouting to us, oh, Joey, I've got PTSD after dealing with Mitul. He drove such a hard bargain that, I've still not got over it yet. But
there were some times with procurement where they were hard.
Yeah.
And
I was going to say, everyone expects big brands or, big retailers to probably be like that. So, yeah.
Look, and there might be in other areas, companies, etc., but I felt that the partnership spirit I was trying to create, that approach wouldn't work. And if there's no give and take, and often, I was mindful of that I've got a lot to learn from a DHL. Huge company, but to your point, if you're driving such a hard bargain, they don't even want to come and see you. Unless it's every 3 years for a tender. That's not good. And also, my team were not going to learn from them if they never visited. So I think it's important that you look at it in the round and not just a numbers game.
Would there be like would there be like a structure or a tick list of things that you would want to get out when you going to look at different carriers? Like, what would you say the top 5 things would be that you definitely need from a good carrier?
I think service, reputation are really important. A brand that I work with, like Harrods, clients expect us to have done our due diligence, that you're working with a comparable, reputable brand. From the vans that you drive to turn up to the house to the suppliers that you appoint, because 90% of our deliveries were done by a third party. So they have to be an extension of your brand. And we were not necessarily the cheapest in terms of delivery costs. So we, customers paid. So actually, you felt a responsibility that they had to get the value for money in terms of that strong experience. Service, so what's your customer service like? How contactable are you outside of those standard hours? Is there a 24-hour escalation? Can we speak to depot managers if something goes wrong? and if they were willing to give us that list of names and numbers and trust us, that goes a long way. And I think there's some of that that's quite important outside of your standard cost negotiation, right? Because that's a given, right? In any tender process, that you're going to drive the best value deal you can. Okay, everyone expects that. But what about the other stuff? My team, I'd always say, right, we're about to go to tender, and what do you want? And they said, I want to be able to speak to someone. My team weren't saying I want 5p off the parcel, right? They were saying I want to speak to someone. On a Saturday or a Sunday after 1 o'clock, when it's gone wrong or it hasn't arrived, I can't speak to anybody. So I would go in with a list of things in the contract negotiation that says, I want all of these things. I want later pickups. I want to be able to speak to a human being outside of these hours. That's what I want to negotiate on. As well as the price and, all of that stuff. Because everyone expects that. Now, I don't think everyone was expecting that, if I'm honest. They were coming in going, right, we can give you 2% off or 5p off or whatever. And I was like, okay, well, that's great. What about all this stuff? Because in a way, that stuff was harder for them to deliver.
Got you.
Because they were so structured in that way. And I said, no, we need to go beyond that. Because if on a Saturday at 2 o'clock, this Saturday delivery hasn't arrived, and they've paid a premium for that, and they need it for a party, an event, what do we do? Right.
And I said this to you earlier, but and it's quite sad coming from me, but I actually mention you quite a lot in just with friends and stuff. Because
Sorry.
no, it's more me, to be honest. But because these things are the things that I get excited about these days, which is quite funny. But from how I understand it, your job was to essentially make and create delivery solutions for very affluent clientele who would come in, spend loads of money on particular items or a basket, and potentially be needing that shipping in slightly more remote locations, whether it's I think private island or whatever. Could you give us a bit of an insight to that side of things, where it was really rich affluent people, what that experience was like, and some of the things that you got involved in doing that?
I mean, the easiest way for me was not look at the money or who they were. 90% of the time I didn't know who they were, which was great for me, because I didn't want to get hung up on a name or an address or a destination, or yes, you had to be respectful when there's commodities like jewelry and watches that are highly desirable, and so you have to make sure that they are delivered securely with the right partner. But often we tried to manage it in a way that every customer is important. Because you're creating a tiered system of service, and some people are more important than others and all of that stuff, right? But to my team, it was like, look, everyone's important. Whether someone's buying a teddy bear for the first time and it's 30, 40 pounds, or someone's spending thousands of pounds on a handbag, we've got to give them both that experience, because they've come to this shop for a reason and not gone somewhere else. Because you could buy a lot of things somewhere else, not everything, but we were known for service, we were known for standards, so we had to kind of maintain and exceed those, right? Because if clients that have got money can go anywhere, right? So they're not necessarily loyal to you, but what they'll be loyal to is service. And they like having somebody on the end of a phone, whether it's WhatsApp or a phone call or FaceTime, and they say, send me this, send me that, whatever, right? And they're willing to pay whatever. So you had to build a framework where, in my world, everyone was important. What was interesting was we shipped for like 300 different brands and departments. So each brand was the most important to that brand, right? They were like, I'm number one, I'm number one, I'm number one. Like, okay, you're all number one. Okay, great. So you had to kind of coach it in a way that you gave everyone the best level of service,
No bias,
which was
almost.
hard.
Yeah.
But you had to build the operation to deal with that. And yes, there were some complexities. There were customers that move around a lot, that one day say, I'm in this hotel, and then they've moved to another country. And if you've missed that deadline, you then had to get it to the next country, and you had to deal with all the onward costs, because they're like, well, I told you I was here and you said you'd get it here.
Yeah.
And something went wrong.
Yeah.
A delay somewhere. Flight goes technical. Now you can't control that, right? So there's a 24-hour delay. Weather, there's a storm, whatever. So you always had to move quickly.
Yeah.
And you had to be on top of every single delivery. We had private islands, we had yachts, we had private jets, we had, clients that were traveling for business. I'm going to be in London for, 24 hours, and I need all these gifts to my hotel, because I'm then flying out in the morning. And if they're not there, then you've got to get it to X, Y, and Z. So there was always that pressure.
Yeah.
But as long as everyone was clear with us that this is the deadline, that was fine. It's when the goalposts kept moving. So I always said to the team, right, if they said the deadline's 8 p.m, pretend it's 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what's going to happen. So we always worked on the basis of whatever information we got, we just cut a load of time off it to give ourselves a buffer.
And did you have relationships with the clientele, or was it not as attached?
No, not for me. We were the delivery function. So we had, private shoppers, personal shoppers. You had the shop floor who had the one-to-one client relationship. Yeah. Now, obviously, they're then transferring that responsibility to us to execute the delivery. So we then had to make sure we told them, if there were delays, there's traffic, there's a protest in London, everything's taking 3 hours longer. We had to be ahead of the game in that sense. And I think as long as you do that up front, don't surprise people. Nobody actually likes a surprise, especially a bad one. So, it's not going to get there, sir, because there's a protest march in London. Didn't you know that? Yeah, actually we did. And you're backtracking, right? And you kind of sound stupid that you weren't aware of these things and prepared. So I think it was really important that we were always looking at what's going on externally. So all of our courier partners kept us up to date with events globally. And we then had to make sure we communicated that, London Marathon or, big cycle race going on. Okay, we can't do X, Y, and Z this weekend. As long as you tell people in advance, people actually adapt and go, okay, I don't need it this weekend. Bring it on Monday. Yeah. Now, when you don't tell people, suddenly they say, I need it now. That's a problem. Yeah.
They start almost demanding the service.
So I think with the network of shoppers that we had, they had such a variety of customers. Business people or whoever, and a lot of new people. There might be newly come into some money, or there might be bonuses being paid out somewhere and they want to treat themselves. So these new clients were expecting the treatment that they should get. So we always had to be on top of that. And we always said, look, tell us how much effort you've put into getting that client in. Because we don't want to disappoint. And that was really important. Was we work very closely with that shop floor team on what it meant to them. And then my team was, look, they spent 3 months trying to get this client in.
Let's make it happen.
And let's make it happen. That was important.
And you mentioned earlier about building a strong operation. Just context of like building a really strong operation out of the likes of a Harrods. What was there a moment where it went from relatively, I won't say small, but relatively under control to like a really big increase in growth? Was there ever like big spikes of growth, and what would you say was important to building the operation?
Yeah, there was a few years when like Ecom went crazy. You know, we would be forecast, I don't know, 1,000 orders, but we get 3,000. We weren't built for that. We didn't have the space. We didn't have the people. You know, there was a time where everything was manual in terms of pick, pack, and then after a while, when we got to a certain scale, there was investment in automation and you know, out of the DC. So that's when the big step changes happened. But for a long time when I ran it, it was very, very manual. And there were some difficult moments when we were like 5 days behind orders because the forecast was this and actually it was way above.
Through the roof. Yeah.
So we had to manage all that noise of customers being disappointed and you know, things being out of stock because we couldn't get to pick them fast enough. We had to hire armies of agency staff. Like it was ugly at points when we were just not getting out of the woods. You know, people were doing crazy hours, overtime, night shifts were laid on, and you know, we'd get 1,000 out, but 2,000 would come in, and we were just never catching up. And it was tough. There were some really tough moments where it had just gone crazy, and then you're trying to manage all the service issues, complaints, escalations. You know, suddenly you had to go and fish out one order that was more important than all the others, and you know, it was really difficult to kind of stay level with it. Stay chirpy and keep your team motivated when they're going, this is nuts. But we always came out of it stronger, right? We always said, all right, we've learned a lot. Let's build it bigger, stronger for the next wave, and we'll cope a bit better.
And for me to almost close my eyes and imagine it, like how many people were part of the operation, and you know, for, let's say when it was quiet and tame versus when it was busting at the seams.
So there was a time when we had at Christmas, I can't remember the year exactly, where we had something like 200 agency staff.
Wow.
Out of not a big space. And we had to run night shifts. We didn't have night managers. We had to recruit all of these people. And suddenly we were 24/7 for a short window. That was tough, you know, like you're doing a team briefing and you've got 50 people there that you've never seen before, right? And then your perm staff have to train them in picking, packing, query team, learning how to pick off a shop floor, which is over 1 million square feet and 7 floors. That's crazy, you know? For somebody brand new, off the street, agency worker, that's got all the right, you know, credentials in terms of you know, they want to work hard and earn their Christmas money, but you just let them loose in this giant shop. You know, like there were some tough moments, definitely, but I think there was a really good team spirit. There was a really good set of individuals that, you know, held it all together. You know, from the managers that I work with to the team leaders to just the permanent staff. But yeah, I'd be lying if you know, sometimes I'll be like, yes, we're about 6 days behind it. You know, and communicating that up the chain and down the chain. There were some tough moments.
It's interesting because, like, I almost if you, I'm going to give it a Chicago Bulls analogy, treated like a sport. Did you have anyone during that time? Because obviously you were there. Was it 23 years? So was there anyone that you would say you were like MJ, Scottie Pippen type partnership internally?
Yeah, many people. I had really good people that worked, you know, with me, and without them, the job would not be half as fun as it was. You know, seeing them passionate. I had really good number twos, ops managers, department managers. We had assistant man, we had team leaders, and then we had like temporary team leaders, people that would just step up. And you could see the fun, right? You could see the joy that we had given them that trust. So yeah, I had really good people, and without them and having them also being a bit, I would say, able to deal with that, you know, and have a bit of a laugh at the same time was really important, because you know, if everyone was just stressed all the time, I think it wouldn't work. And I had to make sure that, you know, there was enough biscuits and donuts around to keep everyone's sugar levels high. But it was important that I didn't I didn't succumb to that pressure either. You know, I had to stay above that.
Yeah.
And just try and be the swan, you know, let them see the top half and not the bottom half in that sense. And it was important that they felt that they were supported.
Yeah.
So what do you need to make more orders out the door?
And like, who would you say was probably the best ops manager you've worked with?
I can't say, because there was a few, you see. And
Yeah.
if I named one,
you're going to get it.
And they end up seeing this, then
Yeah.
I'll get some abusive messages. But I was very lucky to have a number of ops managers over my career that were professional, committed, passionate. You know, and if you don't have those individuals and they don't trust you as their sort of manager, then they're not gonna give you. And also have their back, because they all have things going on in their world, right? And sometimes they need some support, flexibility, or, you know, and if you don't have that, you know, then I think you don't get the best out of everyone. You know, if you're just going to work everyone to the bone or chain them to the desks, it's not going to work. So that was my way of give and take. And I think it worked. Largely.
And in terms of technology, because I know you've talked about the evolution of carrier management and the software side of things, was there any like technology or other tech systems that played a key role in making sure Harrods was delivering extremely good service?
I think you know, yes, in other areas there were lots of like warehouse management systems. The operation I ran, you know, for the last 2.5 years, and I ran throughout my career really, even when I took on other areas, I'd always had dispatchers kind of within my portfolio. You know, the carrier management system was really important, but we had a van routing system. We had a van tracking system. You know, so we had all these little tools. We then brought in GT calculator type tools as that business grew. So clients were like, I want GT paid, and we were using various tools to do that. Then we had to integrate with a supplier to do HS codes for international shipping. Yeah, so we brought all these tools on as the business grew and evolved. We needed some extra support. But we built it as the need came.
Got you.
You know, rather than having everything.
And then the pressure fulfilling to use it.
And it wasn't needed up to a point. So we kind of, you know, and again, the relationship with a carrier management provider was really important, because, you know, they had a vanilla system, if you like, but, you know, we were anything but a vanilla business, you know, in terms of store delivery. You know, you've got someone shipping perfume, you need to be able to handle hazardous shipping. You've got jewelry, watches, you've got, you know, vases, you've got, you know, massive TVs going out, and everything in between. So you need different carriers, you need different services within those. So like, you know, proof of delivery type signature services, or PIN code services for certain values and products, age restricted for alcohol or bladed products. So you needed to have a whole suite of options. You know, so as legislation or expectations grew from customers, we had to adapt. So having a technology system that enabled you to grow was crucial to us, and be agile, right? Actually, we need this, you know, tomorrow.
Got you.
So to speak, nothing ever came tomorrow, but, you know, in that way, it was like, we need to do this. And there were some real successes, especially around HS codes. We had a month to turn that around. And we did it.
Would you, you know, for anyone who's on the retail side of things, would you say, you know, you had a great experience with this kind of supplier, just for anyone watching who, you know, is probably in that position where they might want to upgrade or change, for example, the HS code?
I mean, HS codes, there's a lot of different suppliers out there. I think the one we last worked with was a company called Hurricane e-commerce. That Intersoft integrated with. But there are others, you know, you kind of have to you have to do a bit of research. You have to kind of
Shop
talk to
around.
them. You have to
Yes.
shop around. You have to see what other value add they do. What's the interface like? What's the reporting like? You know, are they going to let you keep that HS code? Because then you can build up your own database, so you don't have to call them every time.
Yeah.
You know, some will let you do it and some won't, because it's obviously a financial transaction for them. So you have to find the right partner that works for you. There's a lot of them doing it now.
Yeah.
Because it's a necessity, right, for international shipping.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, definitely, if we didn't have all that tech and the tools, we would have stayed in the dark ages. I'm pretty sure of that. You know, simple things like being able to track every delivery that went out, getting the tracking events, the proof of delivery, exception reporting, this has failed, you know, becoming proactive. That was the absolute aim of everything we did, was get to it before the customer does.
And do you think Harrods were an early adopter to that? Because
yeah.
Well,
yes, I really believe that, because you know, we were very unique in the market for a store delivery operation that was the size it was and the scale it was, because most companies that you're probably talking to are e-commerce heavy.
driven,
You know, not many people have a bricks and mortar delivery business the size that Harrods does and the complexity that it does.
Yeah.
So it had to invest because it was a unique advantage for us to have a delivery function in the store. I mean, we had many times, this was every week, every day, sometimes one or two, sometimes a lot more volume, but you know, the clients would buy something and want it delivered to their hotel or their London address same day. You know, so we had a same day service from the store. You know, we were delivering things to hotels within 1 or 2 hours of purchase, within you know, a couple of miles of the store. And you know, I often chuckled to myself that, you know, not even the mighty Amazon can do that. They can do a lot more. However, it was just a way of demonstrating that, you know, we'd scaled the operation. That if the client wanted it within 2 hours, 4 hours, within a certain distance, we could do that. You know, if they lived in Manchester and so forth, and they wanted same day on something, we could do that. You know, by having the partners that enable that. And we would get the best price we could for them, but most people would be like, yeah, that's okay, because I want it now. You know, or I want to surprise somebody, or, you know, Valentine's, there'd be bunches of flowers going all around the country, but they would pay for it. So I think the worst position would be to turn those orders down to those clients to say, oh, we can't do it. And they go somewhere else that can do it. So we always, you know, felt that we needed that capability. So we worked with all of our partners to say, can you do same day? Can you do this? Can you do that? And I always said to the team, you know, when we weren't prepared, was, you do know Christmas is on the same day every year, right? And it was my way of, you know, having a laugh at work. Like, yes, boss, we know that. Okay, so why are we so disorganized? Why are we not prepared? You know, Valentine's, same day every year, you know? So it was kind of like a moment of, we need to be organized. And prepared. And we need to tell our suppliers that we're going to have a need for same day, so they have vans and drivers available. I guess it's not rocket science to a point. So that was important in how we did it.
And how big was the between store delivery for Harrods? Were you a part of that?
No, that was run by, you know, a distribution team. So the replenishment side. I did do it for a while as a general manager for distribution, but the DC was never really my responsibility. It was, I worked in the DC a bit with Ecom and things, but I transferred back to main Knightsbridge in the last sort of 7-8 years.
No, I just know there'll be probably some people watching that'll be that between store delivery partner, or, you know, have that.
I mean, we opened these satellite beauty stores around the country, H Beauty as it is known. So we work with DHL supply chain, I think. They helped us deliver some of that into those stores.
Yeah.
And I think they still do to some of them. So, but that was sort of handled by a different team.
An extension,
yeah. In that
Perhaps
sense.
you were doing. Okay, interesting. Well, I'm gonna quick fire some questions.
Okay.
Yeah, that I think will be fine. What was the most expensive delivery cost you've ever witnessed?
Cost.
For someone who's ordered and it's ended up either because it's same day or whatever, but like it's a super complex way of getting to them. What was the?
There's a whole scale. I mean, I'll give you an example around. Do you remember Krispy Kreme donuts?
Oh yeah.
So I'm going back to 2005.
I can't go past the Trafford Centre without going through the drive-thru, mate.
So Harrods were the first outside of America, wherever to have a Krispy Kreme. There'd be a queue around the store to get these. We had clients all over the country that wanted these donuts that were like £12 a box or whatever. But they would pay, a lot more, shall we say, 80, 100 plus pounds for a same day courier to get these delivered to, cities around the UK.
Yeah.
They wouldn't necessarily be warm when they arrived, but they were reasonably fresh.
Yeah.
But that was the craze of the donuts back in the day.
Got you.
I can't reveal too much in terms of specifics, but we had high value deliveries.
Yeah.
Jewelry, watches. Some of the delivery costs ran into thousands.
Right.
Because of the insurance, because of the secure transportation method. Sometimes they wanted us to pay the duties up front and then we would bill them afterwards. Yeah. And, if you're looking at 10, 20, 30% duties on something that's very high value, you can see the costs will be quite high.
Yeah.
So I think that's my most pragmatic way of answering.
No, it's fair, but that thousands of pounds is definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it was not a regular thing, but there were certainly certain commodities that would attract that. But then, if you're buying a watch that's quite expensive, you're almost paying for expecting £5 to have that delivered. That's completely unreasonable.
Yeah.
When you add in insurance and sometimes we'd have to get certificates for certain things in terms of how they had to move.
Got you.
Croc skin handbags, that sort of stuff. So that was quite a common thing. But again, you had to just be upfront and you had to be transparent with the client that these are the costs. We often had to get things, specialist packed, crating, etc., etc. So, crating costs have gone up a lot in the last 10 years. So you just had to. You almost gave the client an invoice to say this is going to be the cost. And, you had.
And would you do that? Would you pass that essentially transparently onto the client?
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't. If I said Joe is going to cost £5,000, but I didn't give you the breakdown of it, you're going to question it.
Yeah.
But if I broke it down into those elements of insurance, packing, the freight, the kind of certificates, if we needed it, and it added up to 5,000, you kind of go, okay, I can see where it's going.
Got you.
Now, clients would ring around and try and get a cheaper quote somewhere, but often they come back to us going, okay, you're not crazy here, and actually we trust you guys.
Yeah.
And if it goes wrong, it's on us to fix it, right?
Yeah.
And I think that often carries a lot more weight than people realise.
Got you. Well, to 3 things you think make a great header delivery.
3 things. Oh my God. I think your leadership style is really important. If you're going to manage a big team, you've got to be approachable. You've got to be honest.
Yeah.
You've got to allow people room to breathe, to speak.
Yeah.
I think, give them the right tools to do their job. If you're expecting them to, deliver, knock it out of the park every day, but you're not equipping them with the right tools, the right environment, the facilities, then I think it's not going to go the way you want it to go, right? So be that leader that they're going to resonate with, be open, be transparent. I think share the vision, share the journey.
Yeah.
Tell your team where you want to go.
Yeah.
Because if they're bought into the process, they're more likely to come on the journey.
I love that.
It's also really important that some people then go, I don't want to be part of that journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something that I learned early on, that if we knew, senior managers knew in 3-5 years something was going to change, something was going to close, we were going to close that operation, we were going to change that, we were going to do. Actually, just tell them. Yeah. Because then that team has the chance to move to another area or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that went a long way in building trust between management and staff. But I think also, the third thing for me is often overlooked is that culture of praise, reward, recognition.
Mm-hmm.
I remember so many management meetings where we'd sit around the table and we'd spend an hour or 50 minutes of that hour meeting talking about the one or two individuals that were a pain in the backside.
Yeah.
Right? He's a problem, she's a problem, blah, blah, blah. All that stuff about performance management, sickness, lateness. And I'll be sitting there going, when are we going to talk about the 98% that are really good, that are stable, steady, happy, knocking it out of the park? Can we spend 50 minutes talking about them? And my team would go, oh my God.
Yeah.
And that was a shift change around next meeting, let's talk about the good stuff.
Yeah.
And it took a while, because often I'd sit there with managers and go, right, who's the top 3 performers in your team? And they'd sort of look down at the floor because they couldn't answer it.
Wow. Yeah.
And I'd say, okay, we have an issue here.
Yeah.
Because you can't name me 3 people in your team that is amazing.
Yeah.
And you manage 30 people. That's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was
I love that.
cultural change.
No,
An important one, and it went a long way because people suddenly felt appreciated and valued.
It's not all about money either, is it? Like, reward, recognition. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because when they go home and they talk to their family, you don't want them saying, I hate my job.
Yeah.
Bosses and X, Y, Z. If they're saying some of the softer stuff, the nicer stuff.
Yeah.
A manager appreciates what I do. I got a thank you in the team meeting today.
Yeah.
Rather than standing there going, oh, we need to improve our sickness and we need to,
Yeah.
It's all a bit negative, right?
Yeah.
So creating a positive culture
Yes.
was quite important to me personally.
Yeah.
On that. So I think that's 3, maybe.
Yeah, no, you've smashed it. And then the final one was just going to be, if you were to go back to yourself, post university, what sort of advice would you give yourself? And
probably in my early days, be a little bit more patient.
Right.
I probably learned that later.
Yeah.
I was sort of getting out of starting blocks very quick, and I was maybe operating at a pace that not everyone else.
Almost not sustainable.
Yeah. So the things I learned later in my career, I felt that if I was starting again, I'd bring some of that forward. Around the patience, around sharing the journey.
Yeah.
I think those are really important things, because it took me a while to kind of go, look, actually, this isn't working, and I have to adapt and pivot and things. But look, that's also part of the journey.
Yeah.
And I think don't be afraid to be ambitious. It's okay to fail. As long as you can pick up and learn from it.
Yeah.
And don't blame everyone else. Just own it. That's really important. I think those are really important lessons. Hard work is important. Not everyone wants to work 7 days a week, 60 hours a week, do shifts, sweep the floors anymore. The world has changed.
Yeah.
But But I think those are really important lessons from an early age.
No, okay.
Yeah, and if you want to get into management, because it's not for everyone.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Well, Mitul, thank you for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks for having me. Thank you very much. Thank you.